All right, everybody, so welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. Today we're going to be talking about my top 5 casting baits. So, if that interests you, definitely stay tuned because this is something you don't want to miss. All right, everybody, so real quick before we jump into anything, I just want to say if the video helps you at all, make sure to like. Also subscribe. I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. I do these videos every month breaking down 5 baits, 5 casting baits and 3 finesse baits that I use each month 99% of the time. So that kind of gives you a head start on the month, especially if you're just now getting out of turkey season anyways, and you're fixing to get back on the water, kind of give you a little jump start. But as always, all the baits will be linked down in the description, so you can just go down there and click on it, carry you straight to Tackle Warehouse, Dick's Sporting Goods, or whatever, wherever they have it in stock. Now the first bait that I want to talk about, this is definitely going to be a go-to, especially when the water is slick, calm, or getting those areas where I kind of need to work a top water bait around some cover, so like buckbrush or anything like that. It's definitely going to be a fluke. Okay, so a weightless fluke, and I'm just going to Texas rig that bait to expose the hook. I'm running it on a moderate action rod, 7.3 to 1 gear ratio, 20-pound monofilament. Monofilament's big key because it has stretch, so when those fish come up and they hit it and they go down, maybe they don't have it real good, they just got it by the side or something, it gives them time to get that bait for when you set the hook. You can get them out of that cover real easy, especially with that 20-pound test. You can kind of horse them around as long as it ain't just an absolute giant, but just adjust your line accordingly. The big key is the monofilament. But even if you get out on main lake points and it's slick calm and you see those bass just jumping around eating shad that are out on the main and stuff like that, but it's slick calm, a lot of times those hard top water baits is going to be kind of difficult to get bites on, because I don't know if it's because they can see it real well or just something, but a lot of times it's hard for them to get get them to commit to that hard bait. So that fluke is going to be a great option. You can work it fast, you can work it slow, you can kind of finesse it, just play around with it a little bit, figure out what works for you best. But usually just running it straight like that, weightless, with that EWG hook. Sometimes I'll run it with a treble hook, so if you didn't see that last year how I rigged that, make sure to check that out. But that's usually when the fish are on the main lake schooling and maybe they're short striking it a lot. That's a great way to catch a ton of fish, just a little modification to your bait. Now the next one that I want to talk about, this is going right in line with that top water. This is going to be a top water hard bait. So this is the Heddon, this is the 1 knock, so it's just got one big rattle in it. I also use the Strike King Sexy Dogs. I've used those for years, absolutely love them. And then the Papa Walk is a great one. One of my favorite ones to use is a Bushwhacker buzz bait. Now that you can get that on VantageTackle.com, and what it is, I'm actually going to pull it out real quick. But what that Bushwhacker is, see, it's got this BB on it, and what happens is when this blade turns, it actually clicks off of that BB, but it's got a real loud, it's just a completely different noise, and it seems to drive bass nuts. But this has definitely kind of been one of those sneaky little go-to baits. And one of the biggest things that I like about it is I can use it in heavy cover and I can boat flip some big fish with it, because if you look, they actually put this strand of wire or whatever this is at the top to keep this from spreading out and breaking constantly, and also I'm guessing to keep this blade in line where it's tapping off the bead. But this is a great option. I mean, poppers are a great option. Just really any kind of top water bait, just kind of use it accordingly. If I got kind of some slick calm conditions in the back of a pocket, I'm typically going to go with something like this popper. I also got this one from Vantage Tackle. I've been catching them like crazy off of this popper. It's got a little bit more of aggressive sound. It walks. It's just a good, popper type bait. Prop baits is going to be good ones. I mean, walking baits, buzz baits, any of that stuff. I'm typically going to be throwing that buzz bait when the water's a little more dirty. I typically don't want to use it when it's not dirty, but sometimes it can work out. So, just kind of adjust it accordingly. One of the biggest things is when I'm using one of the hard baits, like the popper or this walking bait or the Papa Walker or something like that, I'm going to go with that medium action rod, but I want monofilament line. Okay, this allows stretch, this allows play. So when these fish come up and they get that bait, you don't want to drive home. I mean, you're not going to be setting the hook like you're trying to pull a 10-pounder out of some matted up lily pads and grass or something like that. You literally just want to kind of pull into the fish and reel at the same time, and they'll set the hook on themselves every time. So that monofilament is going to allow for that. Also, it floats. So with it floating, what happens is it doesn't pull the nose of that bait down. So like the Papa Walker from Thunderhawk, if I run you know, fluorocarbon on that bait, what tends to happen is it pulls that nose down, so the bait likes to dive, okay? And sometimes that works out because the bait will actually dive and then come back up, dive and then come back up. But sometimes the fish want that, but very, very rarely have I ever, you know, noticed like, okay, that's exactly how they wanted it. But 99% of the time you're gonna be running that monofilament unless you're running that buzz bait. Buzz bait, I'm definitely gonna go with a medium heavy action rod, and I'm gonna be running fluorocarbon, just like you're running a worm setup. I promise you, if you've been using monofilament with a buzz bait and you wanna catch a lot more fish, definitely swap over to fluorocarbon. Your hook sets, your hook penetration is going to be 100 times better, and you'll know exactly when the fish get it. There's no delay or anything like that. You can give it just a second after they hit it, set the hook, and you'll get them 99% of the time, I guarantee it. Now, the other one that I want to talk about, this is going to be one that I'm probably going to be running the entire time in May. I mean, just about every day I'm going to pick this up as long as I have clean water, and that's going to be a jerk bait, okay? This is the Megabass 110 Junior. If you haven't saw how I use this bait during the warmer months, make sure to check that video out. It dropped a week or two ago, I guess, but you know, either way, check that video out. You'll see exactly how I run this, but you're going to be moving this bait super quick and you're going to get exhausted. I use it just like during that time when I'm talking about using it in these open areas as these fish are migrating out of the creeks. Also use it on the main lake, especially around bridges, especially around main lake points where the fish are schooling up and they're close to the surface of the water. One of the big things is whenever you use a jerk bait, the main thing is you want to make sure your rod handle short, okay? That way when you are twitching that bait, same with your top water, that way when you're twitching that bait, that handle goes in between your bicep and your forearm, okay? So that way it's not hitting your bicep, okay? You'll get a lot more action out of the bait. It'll feel a lot more comfortable, and I promise you won't be near as exhausted by the end of the day. Now, the next one that I want to talk about, this is one of those fun ones. This is the square bill. This is extremely fun for me to run a square bill because 99% of the time people are going to be throwing this bait close to cover and bringing it through cover, and you will catch a ton of fish that way. That is an amazing way to catch fish off a square bill. But one thing that people don't do a lot is run a square bill in open water. So one of the best things you can do with a square bill, especially with suspended fish, I typically like to throw that bait past them a pretty good ways, typically just as far as I can get past them. And then I'm gonna burn that bait down. And when I say burn that bait, I'm gonna be reeling it super quick, and I'm gonna integrate pauses into that. So I'll be burning it and then stop, burning it and then stop, burning it, slow down, stop, burn it again, okay? So just changing up my retrieves. That is a great way to catch a ton of fish on a square bill in open water, and a great way to catch them, you know, even if you're fishing them around cover and stuff like that. But think about this bait when you're using it in open water. Think about this bait as a jerk bait, but you're not really jerking it. You're gonna reel it, okay? So that's one of the ways that I use a square bill this time of year, and you can cover tons of water. You'll catch a ton of fish, and a lot of times it's the bigger ones that bite this. So this is made by Flatlands Custom Tackle. This is it's completely different, okay? So you're gonna see this bait here soon before you know it. It's kind of gonna be everywhere, and I've kind of gave y'all a glimpse of it before in another video. Make sure to check that out on how I run this bait a lot. But it's basically got that swim bait hook, and then it's also got the wire for like a spinner bait, okay? So it's just like a spinner bait that you can put a swim bait on. Although, here's the biggest key feature. There's a split ring right here. So what it does is it allows this hook to move freely, and it gives that bait a completely different action. You're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a swim bait, you're getting a spinner bait. On top of that, what happens is when you reel this bait, it doesn't necessarily burn out when you go to reel it extremely fast. So it's not trying to turn over and flip and stuff like that. That swim bait will actually start to shimmy side to side, and it will rock as it does it. So it gives that bait a little bit different action. Well, I say a little bit, a big different action. And it's a great technique to use deep up in grass, lay down, stuff like that, where you're trying to get those fish out. And I believe it's going to be a major killer out on your main lake, especially when those fish start chasing either blueback herring or your typical shad that are on your main lake when they start schooling real hard. I believe this is going to be one of those absolutely bomb baits. You can get this on Vantage Tackle. You can use Colton 25. You'll get 10% off your entire purchase, and it's 100% worth it. So, but either way, guys, those are my top 5 casting baits for the month of May. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you. If it did, make sure to hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe down below because I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. You'll know exactly when I drop drop videos every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and also comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. If you have any questions about the baits or something you want to add, not only do I like reading you guys' comments, I love talking to you about fishing. I love being able to help you with the baits. So either way, guys, everything will be linked down in the description. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.